Hello again, everyone, and welcome back again for another video. I know it's been a while since I've put out a build video, and that's mainly because I've been busy with customers and what have you. I'm really busy, actually. So I haven't really had the time to get to doing a build that I can set aside and do just for filming, because that kind of consumes my time if I'm doing like a bunch of filming. But I did want to put out some content, and I needed, I guess, kind of an easy one. I actually have uh, several cases back there that I could do some builds in that I can talk about that, I could do some RGB and all that shit in. But I come across this board. Now, this board um, is one from a computer that I built about 12 years ago. The guy brought it back to me and he's like, I need you to upgrade this. And I'm looking at it and I was like, okay. I was like, well, where'd you get this from? He's like, you built it. And I was like, I built it? And I mean, because I've done so many over the years that I totally forget what I build. And so evidently this was one that I had built for him. I didn't remember the case. Usually I remember the cases because that's what I try to do is remember the cases. But I didn't remember the case, maybe because it was kind of a plain case. Excuse me. Um, so anyway, so I upgraded him to an AM4 and sent him on his merry way. And, I'd give him his stuff back if he wanted. And he's like, nah, you keep it. I don't want this crap. And so I really didn't have much use with it. This is a FM2 board. Let's put it up here so you can see this. I don't know if we can get this in focus here. Um, Tilt over that way so you can see the model on there. It's the FM2 A75MA-E35. So pretty much the max CPU you could put in this is like the A10 6800K. So that's actually what I put in here. This did have like an A650 500, I think that's what it was. Well, anyways, I pulled that out. Put the A10 in here. I actually got that pretty cheap off of AliExpress. Threw some memory in there, bumped it up because it did have like 8 gigs. I bumped it up to 16. I'm not going to play around with it any more than that. Besides, throwing an SSD and an operating system on it. Here's the plate for it. Let me set it off to the side here and get to what we're talking about today. And that's what I'm going to put the thing into. I'm going to put it into this case right here because I wanted something cheap and unassuming because I mean, given the age of that CPU, that A10, it's at least 12 years old for sure that I know. Maybe it's older than that. Uh, Given the age of it, I'm just going to donate that PC. I'm probably going to give it to the Goodwill or one of the other charitable organizations here in town. So I kind of needed a cheap throwaway disposable case that looks pretty unassuming. And this one here kind of fit the bill. I mean, look at it. There's not much to this. There's no ventilation on top. You got, two USB 2.0, no USB 3.0. You got your audio jack, power reset. That's it. You can see some holes right here. That's where the fans would mount. Kind of interesting that the fans would go right up against it. Let me pull this side off here so we can have a look at this. I mean, this thing is really, really small too. I mean, I can get my ruler out here and you can see this thing only stands. There's 1 foot right there, and then we'll put my thumb right there and then go up. And so it looks like it's about 14 inches tall, 10.5 inches deep, and 6.5 inches wide. Very, very small for a micro ATX case, but it should suit its purpose. Let me get some light down in here so we can have a look inside here. Show you the kind of the inside here of what it's made of here. Like I said, the wall, this is where your fans would go right up against the grill there. And it's kind of got, it's not mesh, but it's kind of like a squared out thing there that kind of lets a little bit of ventilation through here. And then you got your control panel for the front there. It's just tacked on with 2 screws. And it has your basic USB and audio, and then your front panel, and that is it. Not much room for wires there, so you kind of want to get a power supply that doesn't have very many wires if you can find one. And I actually happen to have one because I actually have a power supply that I pulled out of an old Dell 300 watt power supply. It's going to be perfect for what we're doing here because, this isn't going to be a gaming computer. Like I said, it's just going to be something I'm going to donate. Hopefully an old lady will pick it up or something, Like I said, I'm going to make it kind of unassuming looking. So I don't need that much power out of the power supply either. Looking at this right here, let me back up my camera there so we can get this in view here. You can see where our hard drives would mount on here. You can mount a couple well, you can actually do your, let me do this. Do I have a, oh yeah, I do. So your hard drives would kind of get mounted this way. You can see like where the holes line up there. It says HD, so your holes are going to line up there. Hard drive like that, or hard drive like that. Actually, tell you what, let me just do this here. We'll turn off the 4K cam, and we'll actually go to the screen here and look at the pictures here. Hard drive right up in here, hard drive right up in there, and according to this, you can get a 3.5 inch on the bottom here, over on that left hand side, but it doesn't quite look like it to me. Let's look at that there. Not sure how that would go because none of these holes don't line up. Well, maybe those do. Okay, yeah, okay, it would go right there. You can see where the holes line up, but only 2 of them line up, or maybe 3 of them, so this hole's not there. You have to kind of stretch out your wires to reach that. I don't think it would go this way. Well, oh no, I guess maybe it would go this way too. You can see the holes line up there. So yep, line up just like that. One there, and then of course you can get an SSD right here if you wanted to. I'm not sure what all I want to, I know I'm going to throw an SSD in here, but like I said, since I'm going to donate this anyways, let's see what else I got. I got a couple extra right here. A couple extra hard drives here. 5400 RPM, 80 gig. 5400 RPM, 500 gig, and this one's a 5400. 500 gigs. So I got 2 500 gigs, but they're both 5400 RPM. I don't like putting 5400 RPM drives into a PC. Unless I try doing it like in a RAID mode. I guess that's one thing I could do. I could throw in a couple of 500 gig hard drives there, put them in RAID mode, and then run the SSD as the operating system. That might work. I don't know, but let me cut this scene and throw that damn motherboard in here, and let's take a look at this. Okay, so I got the board slapped in there, and I got the power supply slapped in there, SSDs in there, and I got some fans in there. My plans to put extra drives in here kind of went to shit, though, and it's actually because of these fans that I put in here. Right here, where the holes are, where they mount at, if you look real close, I don't know if I can get that on camera. Maybe I can. But it's kind of overlapping there a little bit on the fan. You can see a little bit of the rubber from the fan. Oops. Maybe I can touch it with that right here with the screw going in there. It just does not go in there. So there's no way that even if I go to the edge of this right here, that I could screw those down in there. So actually I couldn't put any fans, or excuse me, SSDs or hard drives on this side because of the fans. But I did manage to put the one down at the bottom. Now, there's really not any place to tuck your wiring in this, so you got to kind of make the most of it. That's why I said that I wanted to use a power supply that didn't have that, excuse me, many wires. And this Dell one worked out kind of good. So what I did is I took my wires and just pulled them down there, tightened them down with some plastic ties so that they're out of the way. Now, as you can see, I can put another fan right here in the back. This will hold an 80 millimeter. I'm pretty sure I got an 80 millimeter around here somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and put an 80 millimeter in here, and then I got this opening right here because I'm going to stick a Wi-Fi card in here. I actually found one in a box. Actually, my wife found it the other day. We were going through some stuff that I saved from after the flooding, and I was actually going to toss it out. My wife's like, "What's this?" And I was like, I looked at it. I was like, "Oh, that's a Wi-Fi card. I could use that." And it was just a regular Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. And I was thinking of this board. Wow, that's going to be perfect. But let me cut this scene here. I'm going to keep building here, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so this is pretty much done here. This is just so super simple. Let me open this up real quick before I plug it in, fire it up, and show you what it looks like. Let me adjust my light here so we can look inside. A little sloppy on the wiring. I wish there would have been some like little hooks or something maybe over on this side to kind of maybe pull those wires back or strap them down. I mean, I managed. I just, got them all in this way. Lucky for me, I use this cheap-ass Dell power supply. I'm not going to put a lot of effort into this. Like I said, this thing's getting donated off. One thing I did do, though, is I put a new fan in here. This is a Arctic F9. What I did is I pulled the original fan off there, which was like a orange looking AMD fan, and just changed it out for a new 92 millimeter. But anyways, I put a 80 millimeter in the back here too. So, so we got 3 fans going on here. That way we got some good airflow coming in from these fans, going out the back from these fans. And now this top part here, this probably isn't an ideal power supply for this. You'd probably want to get a power supply that, I mean, looking at the bottom of this one, you can see it doesn't have any fan or nothing attached that's going to suck air in this way and pull it out. It actually pulls its fresh air in from like right there. Ideally, in a case like this, you'd probably want a power supply where the fan's going like this, sucking up that heat that kind of builds up in this area here. But, I'm not going to nitpick over that. Like I said, this is getting donated off, so I don't give a shit. Same thing like with these fans. Now, one thing about these fans, you can see there's a nice gap here between them. So, if you're thinking of an air cooler, that's not going to work. Or not an air cooler, but an AIO. If you want to put a water pump in there, just because the gap in there, the way it's designed on this case, is a little too wide for a standard pump, which, usually will have the fans pretty close together there. So that's not going to work. Like I said, I wish there would have been some more tie-down points, at least for the wires, but I did just use some, plastic ties there, and went around and got it all set up there. Hold on a second here, my camera froze up. Okay, that's better. Anyways, so moving right along here, let's look at the back. Now, the one thing about this computer, I wanted it to look kind of unassuming, because I'm thinking to myself, it's sitting in a Goodwill or something somewhere, and so maybe some mom's in there with her teenage little snotty kid, and looking for a computer. And I think the first thing they're going to do is they're going to look on the back, and they're going to go, well, this doesn't have a video card. This thing's crap. And that's kind of the impression I want them to get. I'm kind of hoping some little old lady will come pick this up, you know what I mean? That's kind of what this build is for, It's not a gaming thing, and we'll get to the stats here and shit in a bit, but yeah, so I wanted it to kind of look unassuming, and then getting back to what I was talking about earlier with this. Now, I did have a 15 millimeter low profile 120 millimeter. I wish I would have had 2 of these. I actually would have put 2 of these in there like that, then I could have actually used the space and got rid of those 500 gig hard drives that I wanted to. I was kind of hoping to do like a RAID config on the side with those and get rid of them, but not that it matters. This is just a case that I'm playing around with. Let me go ahead and stick this side back on here. Now, another thing is I wish it would have had maybe some mounts here to put maybe another intake fan like right here. That would have been nice, but you know, cheap case. Looking at the front, again, kind of unassuming, nothing special. It doesn't even look mesh, which, you know, I would prefer mesh, but, you know, it just kind of looks unassuming, which is exactly what I'm going for. Now, I did give it a little bit of flare, and I don't think you can really see it. You can kind of see them, but I actually did put some LED RGB strip right there on this side, just to kind of light up a little bit. And then that the fans that I put in here are also RGB. Now, I didn't put a full controller in there. I just put like a generic one that I had in like my spare parts box that just plugs in and just does some generic lighting. Can't control it in any way. It's always there. But like I said, it's a donor. That way when the person gets it, it'll look a little cool for them. But let me go ahead and cut this scene here. Plug in the computer. I'm going to need to get another KVM. My damn KVM right there. It keeps disconnecting on me on my main computer and on the computers I'm using. So I think that one's finally taking a shit, so I'm gonna have to get a new one. At least my video output works. So, but anyways, let me go ahead and cut this scene, and we'll take a look at the stats on this, and then we'll look at it powered on. Alrighty, let's start out with this. We'll show you the specs on this in Task Manager. Starting with the CPU, which is an AMD A10 6800K APU. Memory, it is running 16 gigs of DDR3 at 1866 speed, and our hard disk is a 240 gigabyte SanDisk SSD. We are, of course, running Windows 11 on this. Taking a look at Cinebench. You can see right there just loading up Cinebench. It's just going kind of slow there. There we go. So you know that you're not going to get nothing great out of this. Anyways, let's see here. Scrolling down. In the multi-core, it scored a 1394. In the single core, it scored a paltry 536. So this is a pretty pathetic CPU. Now, I probably should have put Linux on this. Probably would have ran a lot better. Something like with KDE Plasma on there or something. But I didn't want to confuse people. I like Linux myself, but some people, if they get it from the start, they're just kind of confused about it. But anyways, looking at our benchmarks here, at 720p on low, it did score 44 frames a second with a max of 72. Like I said, that's 720 low. Trying this at 1080p, 24 frames a second, max of 38. Like I said, this is not a gaming computer in the slightest. It's just basically for surfing the net and stuff like that, which it does quite well, actually. Here, you know, if we open up our browser, go to YouTube, say, and we'll just do this. We'll do 4K demo. We'll search, search for a 4K. I hate that. 4K demo. All right. Go to this, click on that. We'll right click on this. We'll go stats for nerds. Full screen. And what are we running at? 720 is what it defaulted at there right from the start. Yep, auto 720p. So you can see it's dropping a few frames there. Let's switch it up to 1080 and take a look at those frame drops here. That's not bad. See, look at that. We're not dropping any frames. It just takes a little bit of load time in there. You know, maybe an occasional drop there, but still we're at 1080p. So, um, with that being said, I mean, if it's something that somebody wants to use just for, you know, surfing the internet, you know, watching YouTube videos, going to Facebook, general use, I think this is a great computer. And considering I'm giving it away, hopefully it'll get sold off cheap. I don't know what it's going to go for. You know, maybe it'll go for 50 bucks, maybe 25 bucks, who knows. But it's not a bad computer. All things considered, it's old. It's quite old. You know, it's 12 years old, but still capable. You know, I mean, with 16 gigs of RAM, I think that should pretty much be the standard these days in any desktop, and that's what this one's got. So even though it's old, it's still, you know, capable. Capable. But anyways, let me do this here. Let me switch this keyboard here. Run the 4K cam, and we'll let you have a look at this. Powered on. Now this here you can see that RGB strip I was talking about there. Let's try not to move the camera too much here. But yeah, this kind of gives you a little better look at what this thing's going to look like once it gets powered on by the new user. Let me go ahead and flip off the light, see if that makes any difference in there. Maybe show you a little more. Let me turn off this one second here. Yeah. And like I said, this it just kind of cycles through patterns. You can't control it. Like right there, it's switching to red, green, blue, and whatever different colors that it's doing there. So that's pretty cool. I mean, so, you know, hopefully, you know, whoever buys this, you know, appreciates that and gets a hell of a bargain for what it does have inside and what this thing can do. But anyways, that's going to be it for this one, guys. I actually have a better one that I want to get to eventually. It's an AM5 build, brand new build, in a definitely better case than this. Not one of those AliExpress ones. It's a case actually that I've had for quite a while. I'll get to it eventually when I get to it. I've just been kind of busy with stuff. But like I said, this one here, getting donated off. I just wanted to kind of show you all what you kind of get buying this $31 cheap Amazon case. And you know, I like this case just because it is kind of unassuming looking, and because it's kind of a no bullshit case. You know, you put your board in, you put your power supply in. Let's say that you're running an M.2. Hell, you don't have to worry about mounting an SSD. Just slap the shit in. Couple fans, maybe, if you want a little bit of air, off you go. Boom. It's just unassuming looking, no frills, nothing spectacular in the front. I guess it maybe could have used a USB 3.0 in the front. But considering the price, this is probably targeted at people that just want to take an old damn board and slap something in it and get rid of it, which is exactly what I'm doing with it. So maybe having just two USB 2.0 is fine too. I don't know. I'm not going to judge it. I'll 5-star it though, just because it does exactly what I wanted it to do and looks exactly how I wanted it to look, and doesn't look too bad when you put like just a little bit of flair in it with the RGB, and maybe just dress it up just a little bit on the side there, just to kind of get a little bit of coolness. But all right, guys, I will see you later. I will see you in the next build. Like I said, that one's going to be an AM5, I'm pretty sure. Maybe you might do something else too. I've got several projects in mind, but I've got customers to tend to first. But I'll see you when I see you, guys. I will talk to you later, and bye-bye.